I'm okay.
Lovely. Right, well, I'm just recording this so that the ladies that have been coming the last couple of days can grab this as well. So welcome, Diane. I think we've kind of done a little bit of those introductions between Tracy and yourself. So we won't worry too much on that one. But this is the third and final day of the Phoenix Rising Retreat. So welcome back, Tracy. I know you were on the first one and then had a nice family deal out last night. So glad that went well. And what I'm going to do is I will take you through my vision for the Phoenix Rising Mastermind, which is my big course that this is a taster for. But before I get there, I want to give you another masterclass. So we've looked at, for Diane, for your benefit, we looked at, on the first day, we looked at releasing your fears around menopause. So any of those negative emotions and getting a positive mindset in there so that actually you can have a better experience. Yesterday, we looked at psychological impacts of loss, which a lot of women feel when they go through menopause, whether that is loss of fertility, loss of youth, all those sorts of things. Luckily, the ladies that were on the call last night hadn't had any of those feelings, or if they had, they kind of dealt with them. But one of the big things we talked about was the impact that actually menopause can have on your confidence. And one of the ladies talked about the fact that, a bit like myself, as she went through perimenopause, decided that all was not well on the career front. And for me, it was a big loss of career because of the way I was treated at work. So I embarked on a completely new journey, and so did this lady. But she took up going into the finance industry. So she left one job that she knew very well but wasn't feeling fulfilled in, to go and learn something completely different. And after all those years, take exams and all sorts, and felt really like her confidence had taken a hit. And that's something that a lot of us go through. And we talked about some of our coping strategies, what we could do to actually help ourselves in those sorts of situations. And I talked around a model that I use, which is the 4 S's, where you can reflect on your situation, look at everything you've got inside yourself already, your strengths, your tools, your knowledge that can help you through that situation, identify where you might need help and where you would get that from, and then come up with a strategy or a plan to get you through that stage. And so the ladies were looking at that. But tonight, what I want to do is I want to focus on what I call my menopause lifesavers. So those moments when, if you're going through peri or post and you feel a little bit overwhelmed, like you're in the choppy seas, you know, you're mad overboard from the ship and you can't actually find your way to shore. These are the things that you can be thrown a little life raft for. Some you can do yourself, you do for yourself, and others you can get other help with. Because the big thing with menopause is, whilst for some ladies it can last up to 10 years or more, it is temporary, however long that is. And if Diane, they're lucky like yourself and hadn't necessarily noticed these things, then that's brilliant. But again, menopause is one of those things where your hormones being out of balance, even when you're in postmenopause, things can come up. I'm working with a lady at the moment who had spent all of her time telling me up until this stage that she'd gone through menopause. It was a walk in the park. She noticed it. Oh, no, really, not a problem, not a problem. And just recently, different things have happened in her life. And she said to me, she's fallen off the side of a cliff. She's really struggling with anxiety and depression, and now is on HRT, which she'd never been on before, because they're saying it's related to her hormones as well as everything else in her life. So it's one of those things that can creep up and bite you on the butt, but there's things that we can do. So my menopause lifesavers, I've got 5 things that I want to share with you. And unfortunately, they're not a silver bullet. They're not something that you can do just overnight and it's going to fix everything. It's something that you need to think about things in your life and what you can change. The first 2 are really practical things: the way you fuel your body and the way you move your body. So really thinking about, I always say to the ladies, liken your body to a lovely, beautiful Ferrari sports car or a Lamborghini, whatever you think your supercar is, and think about how you would treat that. If you want that car to be with you in 10, 15, 20 years time, what would you do? it's unlikely that you would put the cheapest petrol or diesel into a Ferrari. You're going to put your high octane in because it works at its maximum performance. You're going to make sure that you drive it regularly because that's what it's meant to do. Otherwise, its battery runs low and it won't be able to start and it will be a bit sluggish. And you're going to get it serviced regularly to make sure that the tyres aren't bald and everything is working right. And of course, you're going to wash it and polish it and spruce it up. So think about your body and you in that way. You are an amazing, beautiful supercar, wonderful racehorse, whatever you want to think. And think about how can I treat my body better? So fueling it, we talk about the food we put in and the water and liquids we put in. This is all about a healthy, balanced diet. If you can eat organic, fantastic, but you don't have to. But it's more about thinking, what are the things that I put in my body that actually might make my hormone imbalance worse or make the symptoms worse for me? So all those foods that we potentially probably quite like, some of the highly processed, the ultra processed foods, your takeaways, things like that are really high in sugar and salt and other processed goods. They're really, really bad for our bodies. As we get older, and we've said menopause comes at a time when our bodies start to do the natural aging process, which is part and parcel of life, but they can't anymore deal with those high processed foods. It's harder for our bodies to metabolize them. It's harder for us to use them. If we're putting lots of food in that's full of sugar and salt, it's going to end up round our middles because our body just cannot use it. And actually, if we carry on eating the same amount as we did when we were in our 20s, we're going to find ourselves putting on weight because as you get older again, you don't burn so many calories. So actually any excess in the calories that you're eating, that again, it's going to land around your middle. So it's really thinking about what is it I put in my body that's not helping me, and don't necessarily cut it out completely. Just start thinking about moderation. Can I reduce the amount I take? The same goes for alcohol. Alcohol is a funny one. There's lots of reports that will tell you that it's good for you through perimenopause and it's bad for you through perimenopause. So it's really hard to work it out. So what I say is pay attention to yourself, to your body and how you feel. I know that as I've gone through menopause, I can't drink white wine like I used to because it's too acidic for me and it really upsets my digestion. Because again, estrogen is really important in your digestive system. It runs about 400 different processes within your body. So I've learned that wine isn't good for me. So I switched to red wine, which seemed to be great. I actually now find as I've gone through and I'm in postmenopause, it actually makes my night sweats worse. Whereas
I also find that one glass of wine is like a bottle of wine in my 20s. I enjoy one glass, but if I have two, I can't, it affects me.
Yeah, it's just our bodies just aren't able to metabolize it as well as they used to be honest. And also bear in mind that with your hormonal imbalances, that impacts the way that your body metabolizes food and alcohol, and everything starts to dry out. We talked about that on Tuesday, and that goes for the cells in your body. So you dehydrate a lot quicker. And we know that alcohol has a massive dehydration factor to it. So it's cutting down on things like that. A nutritionist said to me, because I always drink like Coke Zero, and I know it has some nasty products in it, but I don't like full fat Coke because it's just too sweet for me. But she actually said, if you're having 1 or 2 glasses of Coke Zero a day, you would do better to have the full fat Coke because it doesn't have so many chemicals in it. Or better still, limit it. Her view was cut out all sugar, but I'm saying limit that intake and you will notice a difference, definitely. And then increase the things that are really good for your body, increase the amount of water that you drink. That's really, really important. You can have squash and things like that with it, but water is so, so good. And look at things like fresh fruit and vegetables. As I say, if you can afford to go organic, you can, and that is good for you. But I don't advocate it and push it, because it's a lot more expensive. And again, I'm always myself thinking, well, how organic is that when they put it in a plastic bag to display on the shops, on the shop shelves? And also, if you want to look at some supplements, we don't get enough of the good vitamins and minerals. So look at things like vitamins C, D, and E. They are really important. And also look at magnesium and zinc, which we're all deficient mostly in those minerals, and they are really, really important for helping your body as you're going through menopause. So definitely get yourself a good multivitamin, because you can't get all the vitamins you need from the food that you're eating. And think about, actually, if your symptoms are really difficult, so if you're having lots of hot flushes and night sweats, things like evening primrose oil can help. Not necessarily, it's slow, so it sometimes gives good results for some people, but it has been known to help. If you're struggling with mood swings and brain fog quite severely, like I have, then ashwagandha is really, really good. If you're having digestive issues, think about either a probiotic or particularly taking a licorice root supplement, which sounds horrible, but I love it. You get 3 tablets that you crunch away on just after your meal, and it reminds me of kind of licorice all sorts of sweets when I was a kid, but it really helps with the digestion. And then moving your body. We know how important exercise is for us, but I stress here, move your body, not exercise like a mad thing. You don't have to be a gym bunny. Just think about doing some sort of general movement a day, especially with Diane, you are probably moving a lot. You're up and down ladders, you're walking around houses, you're carrying paint pots, you're on the go all the time. But if you're like me, sitting at a desk talking to people on a Zoom call or sitting in an office, you don't get enough movement. Sometimes my steps are really low. So just think about how can you increase your movement, because as you move, you're going to help the muscles in your body and your tendons. We've talked about dehydration. All your cells start to dry out. That can cause issues with tendons, ligaments, things like that. Natural aging means that your muscle mass reduces. So if you can keep moving, that's going to stem that a little bit. And also, we know that loss of estrogen causes osteoporosis, or it makes our bones more brittle because the bone density drops. That can start dropping from the age of 30.
Can I just ask
yes, darling?
something?
Yeah, go.
So they've got creams. I think it's called the Wellness or something.
Well, woman.
Is it? Yeah, a company that sells creams. And I think I did get some a couple of years ago, because someone said that would happen. And I got estrogen, but it said rub it there, and then the next night rub it there, and the next night rub it there,
rub it somewhere else. Yes.
Yeah, and I did it for a couple of weeks. But how long do you? It doesn't kick in straight away. But is that a thing? Actually, the cream, is that bona fide, or was I just wasting money?
No, you can get some really good over-the-counter creams that you can use that have estrogen in. Estrogen really acts really well when you apply it derma, so on your skin. It works really, really well, and your body can absorb it. It's also a lower percentage that you're putting on your body each time. So any of the risks that you might get with taking an estrogen supplement, and there are risks, but it has a lot to do with your lifestyle and your life history and your family, but any of that is minimized by you putting it on your skin because it's absorbed gradually. So yeah, they do work. They absolutely do work. Again, you have to get the dose right. For some ladies, things like that. I mean, I've used gel estrogen replacement. I've got patches at the moment. I've bought over-the-counter tablets before now. The Well Woman brand is really good. It's got really good supplements in there that do work.
Oh, right.
Especially
Okay.
if you can get one that is like, they do a 50+ for women, that's really good.
Oh, right.
Any of
Okay.
those are really good.
I think, Jeanette, it's quite good to sort of point out that all women, even if you're not having symptoms, will benefit
Yeah.
from estrogen transdermally.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I have always wondered, why is it important to do it on a different area of the body?
That I don't know. I would
Yeah.
have to ask my friend Lisa, who will probably know. And some of them, they say, don't do them above the waist.
Mm.
So I don't have that knowledge. It's not something I've been able to get to the bottom of. I don't know
Yeah.
whether it is to do with, somehow overdosing it in one place.
Because
I don't know.
I do the gel, and I do 4 pumps of it a day, and the doctor told me to do inside leg,
Yeah.
1 pump
Yeah.
each leg, and then the
Yeah.
outside of my arm. And
Yeah.
I've always
That's how I
wondered
did it.
why why that
Yeah.
area, but I do what I'm
No
told.
idea. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that with the gels. I have patches, and I'm told specifically never to put the patch above my waistline.
Oh.
I'm like,
This
oh,
one, the one that I've
no
got
idea.
upstairs, said you have to do it on a fleshy area.
Yeah, there has to be a reason for it. I'll do some research, or because
My
Lisa's not at our
tummy's quite
meeting tomorrow,
fleshy.
but I'll ask. Yeah, so's mine. I stick my patch on my butt because that's about the fleshiest area there is. But yeah, there has to be a medical reason for it, other than maybe they're just trying to make us women with the brain fog, try and make us think more. At one point I had gel that I needed to put on every night that was estrogen. Then I had a pessary that was progesterone, but I only had to use that twice a week. Oh my God, I could never remember what I was using and where. It was a nightmare. But though, you can get a lot. The creams and the gels are really, really good, and they do make a difference.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Some of the symptoms you said when I said, oh, I've gone through, well, I don't know whether I've gone through it. I don't know. But 3 years ago, I had overactive thyroid, and I lost about 1.5 stone in about 6 weeks. And I kept going back to the doctor, and it was one nurse that said, oh my God, your symptoms, they're smacking of overactive thyroid. So I went to bed on a Thursday, and I'll never forget it. And I woke up on Friday morning, I had no eyebrows.
Ooh.
And my hairline had gone back about 1/2 inch, like
Ooh.
literally overnight. And is that a symptom of menopause, or do you reckon it was overactive thyroid?
Not being a medical practitioner, I wouldn't like to say, but I do know that thyroid, whether it's overactive or underactive, can give you very similar symptoms to what you get with menopause. Menopause, again, you can have changes to your hair. It gets thinner, frizzier. A lot of ladies find an awful lot of hair dropping out, and it doesn't grow. I mean, I used to have my eyebrows waxed regularly. I haven't had them done in ages and ages because they just don't need it. So it could. So are mine now, because they've got really faint. Yeah.
But what is there a cream for menopause that can promote hair growth, or is that it? Once it's gone, it's gone.
You can promote hair growth. You need to go to a specialist trichologist to do it, because I don't think you can buy stuff over the counter. But I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a shampoo that is meant for menopausal hair. There's a lot of face creams now. A lot of them include the coenzyme Q10, a mouthful to say, and that is really good for your cells. So that might help with hair regrowth. But most of what I've read is once the hair stops growing, a bit like male baldness, it doesn't come back without real big interventions and actually having the cells replanted and things like that.
For a woman, that's awful. That is the one thing when I don't get depressed or anything, I don't think I do, but that I lost confidence over, and I didn't know whether that was the thyroid or the menopause, is a woman's beauty is in her eyebrows, her eyes, her hair. And that's why I always have it
Yeah.
like that. I never have it nice, you know, when I go out, I more rough it up and look rough and ready rather than,
Yeah.
because that really makes me feel conscious.
Yeah, I agree with you. There is something kind of that's gone back for years and years about beauty in your hair, you know. And I know when I hit perimenopause, I used to have really long, dark brown, dead straight hair. It was lovely, so easy to deal with. And then it was almost like overnight I went into perimenopause and it became a frizzy mess and I couldn't do anything with it. It suddenly was really curly. I'm like, why have I got curly hair? It's always been rod straight.
Yeah.
Now I straighten it to get it there, and that doesn't do it the world of good. So
Yeah.
the changes in hormones do all sorts of weird and wonderful, wacky things to us.
For a woman, it is her crown and glory, isn't it? That's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah. And this is why we lose confidence in ourselves and we start to question ourselves because our hair's different. Maybe, you know, our bodies are changing. Maybe we suddenly think, well, why is it I can't walk up the stairs as quickly as I used to? Or I can't do this. And you start to lose faith and confidence in your ability to do things you used to always do. And that's massive as you go through menopause. Really massive.
Sorry, I interrupted, but I just asked to ask that question about the
I've
crown.
I've just looked up on the internet actually, and the reason that they say it's recommended to be below the waist and also in an area that has not got any hair or minimal hair is because of the absorption. So your body can absorb it better if it's below your waist. You can put it on non-hair areas above the waist, but it doesn't absorb as well.
Oh, okay. Although there had to be some sort of science in it, other than just trying to confuse us when we're already confused, you know.
Well, it doesn't take a lot.
This I have said that to my GP. You're kidding me. I can barely remember to get to this you know, appointment and ask you what I'm doing, and you're going to give me 2 or 3 different things that I've got to apply in different areas at different times and different times of the week. I haven't got a hope in hell unless I've got a calendar in my bedroom so I can tick it off every night.
And there's you,
I used to have to take the pill.
And there's you chewing a pessary when you're like, no, I'm sure this is wrong.
Yeah, that doesn't, yeah, that shouldn't go there. And then why won't this gel go in?
Putting it on your toothbrush, I'm like, I'm definitely gone.
You can imagine that sort of thing happening. Definitely. I have one lady
your
that
smile
is...
looks lovely and white today, Jeanette.
But I have one client that has a patch that she puts on, which is great. But she has a progesterone tablet that she's only meant to take for certain days of her cycle. And that is all denoted about the number of days past her period. But she said, my periods come and go. Sometimes I don't get one. I don't know when I'm supposed to be taking this damn tablet. And it's like, you need to get the one like I do, which is one every night. Easy as anything.
I'm on that progesterone one. You have to take it on day 15 to day 28 of your cycle. And when I first got it, I just took it every day.
Yeah.
For like 2 months. And I didn't have a break. And my periods were really, really heavy and really painful. I was like, why are they?
It can.
And because I wasn't taking
it
properly.
Did you grow a beard?
But progesterone could do that.
No, it isn't testosterone that potentially could do that, but not in the small amounts they give you. But no, yeah.
But there you go. So back to the
yes,
the lifesavers. Back to the script, yes. So moving your body is what we were talking about. So just try and think about where you can get a bit more exercise or a bit more movement in. So when I'm at home, I will, when I'm all feeling all right, set aside time to go out for a short walk. Got the puppy, that keeps me moving. Or if I can't do that because it's pouring with rain and I don't want to go out, I'll just do a few extra up and down the stairs to get a little bit of exercise in there, or walk around the living room. It's just about moving and keeping you moving so that you're minimizing the impacts of the loss of estrogen on your body. If you can exercise with putting some resistance training in there, then that is really super good for your bone density. And again, don't have to get loads of fancy kit. you can just do some squats in your living room, holding a couple of cans of baked beans, or the really big fabric softener and bottles. If you get those, that's like your best kettlebell, and that will do the trick. Then the other three things that we talk about in the lifesavers are more to do with emotional resilience and connection. The things that will give you positive emotions and a positive sense of well-being and self-worth. First one is getting connection in your life. A lot, as we've talked before, of ladies as they go through peri and menopause find that the connections they once had have changed. Either the children have moved on, so they no longer have the link with the other mums and social side from the school, so those connections change. Maybe with their partner, they're suddenly looking at each other and going, really don't know who you are, and actually I don't quite like you anymore. So a lot of relationships change and move on. They may change jobs, or may have even given up a job. So they've lost those connections through work. Connection to other people is really important. One, because you can, if you've got a good enough relationship, you can turn around to those other people, like I do with my girlfriend, and say, oh my God, this perimenopause stuff is doing my head in today. And you know that you're going to get an empathetic hearing. And if you want help and support, they're going to be there for you. Connection is so important, especially positive relationships. And again, as people go through peri and menopause, they start to look at the quality of their relationships. And a number do break down when they turn around and go, actually, this is not a good relationship for me. Equally, you may look at some of your friends. I've had friends that I've been friends with for years. As we've both gone through perimenopause, we've actually completely drifted apart and no longer see each other. And that's fine, absolutely fine. But where you can, think about, if you've lost those connections, where can you replace them with more positive relationships and positive experiences? I always think joining a club is really good. Or what I do say is, if you really want to kind of tap into things, take up dance classes, either ballroom dancing or salsa dancing. You're going to get a connection. It's going to give you a bit of cardio exercise that is fun, and it's going to be super good for your coordination and balance, because you've got to learn those steps. And music is really good for our mental health. So connection is all about mental health and your positive feelings. And then leading on from that, this is my really favorite one, is do more of what you love more of the time. And this is really about reigniting those things you're passionate about, the things that make you smile, the things you love to do, and do them more often. And don't make excuses, or don't give yourself a hard time because you're doing something that you love. Because when you love doing something, once again, it gets all of those real happy endorphins and serotonin running around your body. It makes you smile. Feeding your passions is so, so important, psychologically, emotionally, and for your mental well-being. And again, when you're doing things that you really love, it gives your self-esteem a boost, because 9 times out of 10, the things you really love are the things you're actually pretty good at. So that then means you're doing things that you're good at more of the time, and not focusing on the things that you find hard to do. So it gives you that boost, that self-esteem boost, that actually, you know what, I'm pretty good here, I can do this stuff. Which again, through menopause, we lose our confidence and we think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm not very good at this. I have a girlfriend who, through perimenopause, has taken up painting. She always wanted to do painting, and she's discovered that she's absolutely really, really good at it. Amazing. She's done some lessons with somebody and then followed some hot tips off of YouTube, and she made all of her own Christmas cards this year, all beautiful watercolors, simply because she's made time to do that, found that thing that she's always wanted to do, discovered that she's actually really, really good at it and really enjoys it.
Like I'm writing a book, which I've always wanted to do.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
On what, Tracy?
Menopause and money.
Menopause or money.
That figures.
So
really
the link is actually insane, how close it is, and how you feel about money and the menopause and money are two taboo subjects we don't talk about enough. So I just want people to talk more about them and understand them more, so that they can realize that when they are going through debilitating symptoms of menopause, that their effects on their mental health can also potentially be linked to their financial worries.
Yeah.
Because they're two subjects that provoke a stigma, I think, on both subjects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Wrongly so.
100%. Yeah. And it is that, it's like also women, as they're going through, women are behind on the pay anyway. There's a massive gender pay gap that doesn't seem to change, and it gets bigger the older you get as a woman. So not only if you've given up work to have children, are you then impacting your pension ability, your state pension, because you're not in the system all those many years as well. You go back to work on a salary and a job that is below your skills, so you get paid less. And then you also find that through menopause, many relationships break down. Women find themselves on their own, perhaps for the first time, actually having to be financial stability for themselves, financial independence that they struggle with. Maybe for whatever reason, they're not good at budgeting and planning and all that sort of stuff. That has a big impact. And then at retirement age, again, there's an even bigger pay gap. So actually, the more we can talk about menopause, help women to be better equipped to understand it, to make the most of it, and actually take the positives from it. And then wherever we can, keep them in the workforce, whether that is self-employed like us or working for somebody. Keep them in the workforce, economically active. Financially, they're going to be in a better position as they go through that stage. So the two are taboo subjects that have a direct impact on the other. If you've got anxiety as you're going through menopause and money, it comes together. Sorry, go on, Diane.
You know, sorry, no, I interrupted you. So you probably don't feel it in your, because you're actually doing menopause for women, so a man wouldn't necessarily do that. But I'm supposed to be in a man's world, yeah, so because I'm a trade, and I'm often getting asked, "Am I cheaper because I'm a woman?"
Yeah,
I kid you not. I kid you not. Will you be cheaper than if I got a man in? No. In fact, I've just upped the price.
Yeah. In fact, you're more expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you're more expensive because you get empathy and support as you go through it, not just someone that comes in and makes your house and leaves it like a building site.
And we tidy up and we don't smoke and we don't fart when we're on the job.
I'm going to bring you round.
I was in a cafe not more than 2 days ago, and on the back of my hoodie it's got female decorating team. And so this woman came up to me and she said, "Oh my God, can I just take a picture of the back of your sweatshirt?" And I said, "Yeah, of course you can." And she said, "Because I want to take it back to my boss, because he reckons that no woman can do a man's job." Oh. And although at first I smiled and I said, "Yeah, you can take the photo back," it was almost like a double negative, because she's actually admitting that I'm doing a man's job. I'm doing a job.
Yeah.
It was not a man's job to begin with, so don't bother showing him the photograph, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they've actually got you gripped as well. It's amazing. Yeah. But can you do it cheaper? No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But also, why should it be down to money?
Yeah.
Because actually it's, it's whatever that value of money or value of service is worth to you.
Yes.
Obviously you can't let's say it's 50 quid an hour, for example, for your job, but you don't want to be charging £100. But equally, if you price it, you're giving a service, so it shouldn't be oh well, so and so down the road that they don't know and isn't you can do it cheaper. I've never understood that. I mean, we run an accountancy practice together, my husband and I, and we have 250 clients. But every year they say to us, "Can you do it any cheaper? Can you do it any cheaper?" And we just think, well, we're not a charity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And you've been are you pleased with the service we've given you? Yes. But they still want cheaper service. They
Yeah.
still want the price to be lower.
But then but what if somebody asks them, right, okay, so if I do mine cheaper, are then going to charge your customers cheaper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it should have a knock-on effect in that, if that's
Yeah.
the case.
We have this all the way around. I get it all the time. And being in health and wellness, and someone said to me recently, it's harder for us because everybody thinks of health as free because of the NHS. So why should we pay for anything? And it's like, well, I'm not doing it for nothing at all. But they will say to me, I'll say this course costs X. They'll say, oh, well, could you do it for Y? Like, let me just ask you, if you go into Marks and Spencer's and you see a pair of shoes you want, and they say £25, do you go up to the girl at the desk and say, I really want these, but can you do it for 20? Well, no, I wouldn't. Then why would you ask me?
Exactly.
They are, with you though, Janine, and with me as well, they're investing in themselves. And
they should pay more.
And they should, well, what value can they put on investing in themselves? Because that should be, I mean, almost should, you should be able to charge the earth for it. But it is, I mean, people are very conscious of price at the moment, and I appreciate that. But asking if you're cheaper because you're a female is just, I mean,
it's rude.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we offer this. We didn't offer it. I just clinched onto this USP when I started it up about 7-8 months ago. When every client that was coming in, I was saying to them, I'm just a bit of market research. We're a new business. Why are you choosing us? Because you're a woman, because you're a female. We don't want men in the house. But are you cheaper? It's like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I've not put my price down, ladies. So I'm keeping in there.
No, because it will undervalue you, and it undervalues you and your service.
Yeah.
And it means that you then have to, skimp and save, and that's not fair.
No,
it's not.
No.
Exactly. See, this is why money and women even is so important to talk about.
Yes.
Very
it's actually
important.
The link between women and their financial situation, whether they've been in a coercive relationship or the link with divorce, and whether they found themselves on their own, that in itself brings out so many money emotions and difficulties. And because women before, they were just reliant on the husbands.
On the man. We've been brought up to be conditioned to be all nice and sugar and sweet and all of that sort of stuff,
and baking pies.
Actually, to be at home with the children, nurturing. But actually, that's a very male view. Actually,
an old-fashioned.
We're stronger, and why shouldn't we be out there doing what we do and getting paid for it? I've been quite lucky in that my parents brought me up to be fiercely independent. So my husband knew me from age 15, so he knew what he was getting himself into. And I've always been out there with my own career, with my own view of things. Yes, we paid for the house between us. Then I've got my own money. Always been independent. We've got separate friends as well as joint friends, because whilst you're part of a couple, you're also you. And so often women become part of a couple and they lose themselves,
their identity.
Exactly. When you go through menopause, that starts to cut you off from your previous identity, because so much is changing.
I find being single is almost. I'm not feeling sorry for you married people out there, but I hear so many of my married. I'm the only friend out of all my. I've got a group of, because I'm from London, group of girls there, group of girls from Kent, group of girls from school, group of girls from college, group of girls from work. I'm the only single woman amongst them, and all I hear is them moaning about their men, and I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I come in and I'm like, I can sling me bra on the other thing when I get off, when I take it off on the sofa. I can not cook tonight if I don't want to. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. There's something about pleasing yourself, and there's also something about, there's a, you know, for whatever reason, there's a bit of bonding there of the women complaining about the husbands, and equally the men probably do a little bit as well. It may not actually be reality. You know, we drive each other up the wall in equal measure, I'm sure. But there's something, again, it's like we've said with menopause. Menopause doesn't have to be a difficult, nasty, hard experience. There can be parts of it that are like that. And actually, if we focus on those and only talk about those, and when we get together with other women, it's like, well, I can't actually say I had a really easy time, because that makes me not part of the group. I've got to be part of that group. But actually, you don't have to be. My experience was long, drawn out, and quite difficult. But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. And I needed that because it was at a time in my life when I wanted to do something different. I knew I wanted to go on a different path. I just didn't know what that path was.
That happened by default, really, which is good.
Yeah.
The universe had it in store for you, Jeanette.
It absolutely did. You know, I tell the story that back when I was 30, I had a couple of opportunities. I had one opportunity to go and work in the States with the bank I was at, which we chose not to take up on because Andrew's mum was quite poorly. So we said, no, we don't want to be the other side of the world, technically, with elderly parents. We won't do that. We'll stay in this country. And then I was given a redundancy package. And at that point, I said, I want to run my own business. And then when Andrew said to me, doing what? I went, yeah, that's the bit I don't know. And I couldn't work out what I wanted to do. Didn't know at all. So went, okay, now's not the right time. I'll take a year out, see if something comes up. If it doesn't, I'll go back to work. So I went back to work. I moved into a different field, different industry. So I went from financial services into HR in the civil service. So completely poles apart. So moved in that direction. But I now know that I had to do that in order to work out what I wanted to do. But I always knew I would at some point be my own boss. Just didn't know when it was going to happen or what I was going to do.
It's having the confidence to sidestep those that you did.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I find, so I'm okay with, you know, did I tell you that yesterday someone put on Facebook, because I was, I don't think I've spoken to you, but I spoke to Maria about it. So I put on Facebook that because I'm getting bigger and bigger jobs come up, and contract jobs as well.
Was that the post when you said you're looking for female decorators and someone tagged your business?
And turned around and said,
She paints Kent.
No, you obviously, if I'd have put that on about men, I'd have been held over the coals. It's a disgrace. You're obviously a bunch of man-hating lesbians.
You're joking. I didn't see that comment. I saw someone recommending you to yourself.
What is that phrase? If you can't say anything nice, then don't say anything at all.
But Tracy, do you know what I wanted to put? But I didn't. I just ignored it. For once in my life, I did that, which is hard. I wanted to put, and it's arseholes like you that actually pay my mortgage, and I'm so grateful, because he epitomised the reason why people want female decorators.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just epitomised it in a nutshell. But I couldn't retaliate, so I just didn't say anything at all. And I thought, you bigoted div.
The amount of misogyny online, don't get me started on that one. That's one of my big crusades in the last 18 months or so. But it's huge, absolutely huge. When people do that to me on posts, I delete the comment, and then I block them and delete the comment.
Oh, I don't know how to do that, Jeanette. You know what I'm like.
I'll show you. I'm not having it on my timeline. It's gone. I've had people, all sorts of stuff, but we're kind of digressing. But
sorry,
misogyny online is something. No, that's all right. But again, actually, where you are older, you've gone, you know what? I'm not going to rise to this. It's his problem, not mine. I'm going to zip it and ignore it. My way of ignoring it is just taking it off. It's like, I'm just deleting you, blocking you, deleting you. You're gone. You're not going to have the pleasure, because what they want is for you to respond.
Yeah, I
Fight
thought it was
back.
quite
They want an
humorous.
answer.
I thought it was quite humorous. My response in my head was quite humorous. And you said, yeah, 30 years ago, I'd have, well, I don't know what I would have done, but I wouldn't have had the
Or
wisdom.
you would have ended up in tears. You would have ended up in
And the other
tears.
thing you could do is you could write it down just on a bit of paper, so that at least you've got it out your head,
Yeah.
and then just not do it. Because the problem is on Facebook, that's public forever.
Public. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that you do digitally is public, and it's always there.
Well,
The
all
stuff
my,
doesn't
because
disappear.
that's my customer website or my
Yeah.
customer Facebook group, and they all put, you know, the face with the eyes like that,
Yeah.
as if to say, my good grief. So they was in support of me, I suppose, but still did
Yeah.
comment. But I thought, what an absolute
I
idiot.
would just, I wouldn't dignify it with a response.
No, I
You just bin
didn't.
it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done you.
Yeah, definitely. See, again, you're an example of my number 5 savers, and that's finding your purpose,
Mm,
which I think all 3 of us here have found what it is we're meant to be doing.
mm,
Whether that is supporting women going through menopause, finances and menopause, and being a female painter and decorator. We've talked, Diane, and you've got an eye for colour, you've done interior design, about soft furnishings and all that sort of stuff. You were always destined to do that, and now it's financially supporting you, and you're doing something you love. Your purpose is that thing again that you're passionate about, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to be like Greta Thunberg trying to change the way people think about climate change or change the world. You just need to be able to feel that you're changing in some way your small part of it. The idea of finding that purpose is so you're making a difference that you believe in. And again, as women go through menopause, because the children leave home and you have that empty nest syndrome, they can start to think, my primary purpose, which was being a mum, having children, being a mum, being the nurturer, has disappeared somehow, and now I don't know where I'm meant to be going. So it's, in the main course I teach a way of looking at your purpose based on what's the thing that you're really interested in, or what's the problem that you've identified, where are your strengths and what you love to do, and how you bring those together. Because invariably, if you're doing more of what you love and you're passionate about, you will find your purpose, and that will give you connection as well. So those 3 things emotionally are really, in the mastermind program, what I work on. We do talk about menopause, what it is, what it isn't, how you're going to experience it. We talk about some of the practical things like moving your body, fueling your body, things like that you can do to support, but we focus totally on, this is a gateway. You're going through a natural biological process that is taking you from one stage in your life to the best stage in your life, where you can take control of where you're going and what you're doing and how you want to live your life, because you've got the life experience and the confidence to be able to do it. Because if you take a dip in confidence as you go through perimenopause, you can rebuild it by doing that connection, passion, purpose. That will help you to rebuild it. So on the 12-week program, that's the massive piece that we focus on. And that's the bit where I go, oh, this is what I'm here for. It's like, I can send you to a doctor, you can get HRT, great, that's done, but it's not going to sort out what's going on up here. It will sort out the physical stuff, but it won't sort out those thoughts of, is this what my life is going to be like? And so many women say to me, I sit here and look at it, I don't want to look back in 20 years and I haven't moved from this spot. There must be something more. There must be something else. So that on the 12-week program is what we focus on. We look at a number of different tools that you can use that will bring you through that stage, that you can do that work. As I say to the ladies, it's not easy work. Working on ourselves and investing in ourselves is never, ever easy, but it does give the best dividends in the end. We know that because we're all here self-employed ladies who have decided and seen the way forward for ourselves. and done that work.
Mm.
But I've had lots of ladies that come to me and they don't know what to do. So we do masterclasses and we do really intensive coaching, asking all the difficult questions, all the questions that nobody wants to answer or isn't able to answer. And over the course of the last 3 evenings, I've done that a little bit with some of the ladies and said to them, so what is blocking you from doing that? What is your thinking that's holding you back? Because invariably, that's what we focus on. You know, I've had ladies on the program that have done amazing, absolutely amazing. I had an HR specialist who runs her own business, who was struggling to grow further because she kept saying, well, nobody's going to pay any attention to me because I've only been running my business for 18 months. But she'd been an HR specialist for 15 years. Like, why are you
Got to tap
denying
into that, hasn't she?
all of that? Exactly. It's like, what is it in your head that says, because you've only been self-employed for 18 months, everything you've done before doesn't matter? That's what people tap into. I had another lady who had been doing what she classed as a dead-end job for a long time, wasn't happy. She was working for Screwfix. It's quite a physical job. She didn't have any prospects in it. She didn't enjoy it. Her relationship with her husband had got to a different stage. He's Muslim, and he had started to really focus on his religion, on his faith and his prayers, and was starting to exclude her. She didn't want to really go down that route. She wanted to go and have fun with her friends. He was frowning on that. So she was in a really difficult position. I pointed her to someone that she could talk to for that relationship guidance, but the job wasn't helping her. Partway through our 12 weeks together, she had an accident at work that laid her up, and they were really difficult to her. And she actually resigned and left as a result. And then we worked through with her around what were her skills, helped her to think about what was her purpose. And she said she'd always loved it when she was a mum and looking after her children. And she had one child who was autistic. They'd done a lot of work getting to understand how to support children with autism, to help them to get the most out of their lives. And she then set up her own business as a childminder for children with special educational needs.
Oh,
so she did
that's
the
good.
courses, she got
I've
herself
not heard
registered.
of that. That's quite unique, isn't it?
Yeah,
That is good.
yeah. As she said, you know, at first she did the whole thing, well, why would they listen to me? Because I've not been in business. It's like, you've just raised a child who's now grown up and had autism. You've probably got the best experience ever. And that's the key thing with the mastermind program. We tap into that experience that we, for whatever reason, push aside. And especially push aside as we're going through menopause, because there's so much else going on. But she was just an amazing lady. I saw her go from a real shrinking violet. It was hard to get her to talk, to suddenly, I'm doing this. And she's making an absolute stonking success of it. And
Good
she's
for
like a
her.
completely different person. Yeah, she's still married, still with a husband, but has basically worked out, this is what I need in my life. And therefore I don't need necessarily him to be the cause of my happiness. I need to be happy. You know, our relationship is fine, was her word. She said it was fine. It wasn't, you know, setting the world on fire, but it wasn't so bad that she wanted to walk away from it. We still loved each other, but it just moved into a different phase. And so she said, I'm quite happy for him. He has his faith, and I understand that, and will live a life that actually honours that. But I've now got this, and this is what is setting me alight. It was just so lovely to see her grow and change like that.
Well, she could even.
Sorry, Diane, you go first.
So I was just going to say, she could even set up an autistic nursery for working mums, or.
I wouldn't be surprised if that is not on her list, because she did do that whole, this is my big picture, and then funneled it down into, so how can I do that right now that will work for me where I am?
Not only for her, but how beneficial for the mums that feel secluded, who have got autistic children and can't go back to work because they feel guilty, blah, blah, blah. So she, in turn, it's like a spiral, isn't it?
Yeah. She says she feels now like she's the everybody's grandma.
Ah,
And loves it, absolutely loves it. And
oh,
she's such a
good for
caring
her.
lady.
Good
You know,
for
you
her.
could see that the job she was doing before was not any good
And
for her.
how much help did she need overcoming the symptoms of menopause?
So she was getting towards postmenopause, and hers was, she was still having night sweats and had put on a lot of weight. So she had some body confidence issues. The majority of where she was, it wasn't the symptoms that she was so much concerned about. It was the impact of those on how she felt about herself.
Which is the
So,
most important.
yeah. So again, we talked about actually, you know, weight gain. What could she do to feel better? What could she do in terms of exercise? But, you know, she was doing quite a strenuous job. She was, you know, walking around the storeroom and all sorts of stuff most of the day. But, you know, she did start, I think she started yoga. And we just looked at what could that be, those lifestyle changes she could make. So she wasn't needing to have HRT. You know, she could have gone on HRT, but had decided that's not what she wanted to do. And we basically just worked on a pattern of what small changes could she make that would make a difference. Yeah, she went down the route of, with the night sweats, of changing, making sure that her bedroom wasn't too hot, making sure she got a window and a fan, changing the bedding, so a lighter tog quilt, proper cotton bedding, cotton PJs, things like that, so that she could wick away any of the sweat. Having water by the bed, so that when she woke up hot and bothered, she could drink some water. She even said she had a cold flannel that she used to just pat on her face when she felt like that. And also doing that whole, I don't need to panic. This is just a hot sweat. It'll pass. Just got to stay calm and it'll pass sooner. And then I can go back to sleep. And the yoga with the meditation really helped with that. So it was very practical stuff that we did.
Good. What a success story.
Yeah, she did really, really well. She's my little star, my star pupil. But, you know, again, though, she took 12 weeks out of her life. She invested money that she said she didn't really have, but she felt it was important. She talked with her husband about it and he was supportive. So it was funds that were coming out from her family. And especially at a time when partway through she gave up her job. It was, you know, it was financially a stretch for her, but she wanted to make that commitment to herself. She was ready to do that.
Well, that's paid dividends now, hasn't it? So.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And you can't put a price on that, really. You can't put a price on. So that's her investment for the rest of her life. It's not just for one item, is it? It's a lifestyle change.
Yeah, and that's what I say. The mastermind program is about that. It's not just about getting you over hot sweats and mood swings. We'll look at that and look at what's driving it and what you can do and those practical things, but it's more about the investment in your future. What's the future life you want to have? Do you want to come out of it and say, I've had the best times of my life since I've been menopausal? You know, she said when she started the program, I don't really know why I'm doing this because I'm postmenopausal, so I'm not really having all those symptoms. And we then just did the whole conversation around, so what else could it be? And it was totally that feeling of what next? I don't just want to be his wife or their mum. I want to have something for me. And that's what we do over the 12 weeks.
And women can panic if they haven't got that confidence. They panic and they make the wrong decisions. When you panic, you feel as if you've got to make a decision. Rather than having inner calm and then sort of think, right, okay, and weigh things up. You feel as if you've got a fight or flight. You've got to take something. So she, you know, if she didn't have that confidence, she'd have gone into another mundane job thinking, oh, it's just you know, just I've got to do something.
I've got to survive, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what that course gives you. It gives you that opportunity almost to take a breath. You don't have to make any decisions. You're in a group Usually there's about 4 or 5 ladies. We have the master classes, you do breakout rooms, you do work with those other people. There is homework, so they're asked to do various reflection exercises or change one thing in their day for a week to see what difference that makes to them. Really reflect on that. And then we also do group coaching sessions. So I'm in that discussion with them all. They all bring a certain problem that they're having to the table. They work out which one they want to tackle, and then we get into it. And basically that person talks about what they're struggling with, and through open questioning, we all help them come to, this is where I want to go. So this is what I'm going to try out. And they go away with an action. And I do it in that way because it's more, everybody learns then. Because actually it's action coaching. So to do that, they have to listen to what's being said. They have to be able to empathize. They have to think deeper and build that real engaging, active listening. And that's why I use it.
And they find the answer for themselves, though, don't they? You ask them the
Yeah,
question,
I don't give it to them.
and so they find the answer for themselves, and therefore it's more effective that way.
Yeah,
It'll resonate
because it
more
will never
with it,
exactly. And if someone else gives you the answer, you don't buy into it as much.
you
You're not
become a
as
trainer.
engaged with it. Yeah,
You just train, don't you, rather than mentor.
yeah, exactly. What's the time? We are at 5 to 9, ladies. Do you have any questions for me?
No,
But
I think I've
how
spoken
much is
enough.
that 12-week course, Jeanette?
The 12-week course is £450. So it's actually really reasonable.
Is it on Zoom?
It's on Zoom, yeah. So it's an hour and a half a week for 12 weeks. I think I've done the maths recently, but my brother had said to me it worked out at less than £6 a day. So when you think about how much do you spend on a coffee or a KFC, give up one of those a day, and you're doing your body good and your course good. Yeah, the next one starts, I believe it's the 5th of May. So I usually do these 3 days so that people can experience a masterclass, hopefully go away with something that's resonated with them that they can try out. If they want, I will then spend the next few weeks picking up the phone, talking to them and other people. If they want to come on the main course, absolutely, that's brilliant. Would love to have them there. But equally, if they've learned what they needed to over these 3 days, I have no problem with them going, I'm done. Thank you very much.
But also, what we've learned is if we've got friends or that your pattern that you've been saying rings true, that one of them have said something, then it's always a good referral, isn't it, for them to join the class?
Yeah.
Or just to get people talking about menopause, isn't
That's
it?
the main thing.
Yeah.
The conversations are like we've had these 3 days. They start off a certain route and I tend to guide them, but it is for the ladies. So if there are things they want to ask or something comes up in discussion, then we focus more on that. It's very laid back. Again, if there's something that comes up in the coaching that they're all struggling with, and it's not perhaps on the radar screen for the program, then I'll chuck in an extra masterclass for them or an extra coaching session. They also at the end, or well, it depends where they want to put it actually, they all get a 60-minute one-to-one as well. So they can actually delve into something. Absolutely. I mean, one of the ladies on the first program was very keen to get support on her. She wanted an action plan to get where she wanted to go. She had a kind of, I think it's going to take me 3 years. So we did a lot around what makes you think it will take you 3 years? What's the thing that's going to take that time? So we actually in the one-to-one worked on what would be a good action plan, what would be good goals for the next 12 months. How could she start to try and achieve those to get her closer to where she wanted to be?
Jeanette, you know what would be a really, really good idea is if you got that, what's that lady's name, the autistic nursery lady?
Jackie.
I would ask Jackie whether she would come in and do a little 5-minute talk, because she's the product of what you do.
Do you know what she has done on the last 2 retreats? But this retreat, she said to me, I just can't, I'm too busy, I can't make it.
Oh, that would have been amazing, because it's
And there's
not you
another
just
lady.
saying verbatim, it's actually Jackie's actually done it.
Or a
And there's-
testimonial from her that you could show.
There is on my
Yeah.
website, there is a testimonial from her. There is also her story, and then there's an interview with her as well.
Oh, that's good.
So the first 3 ladies that came on the program that got really big results, the 4th lady did, but we've just never been able to work out to get a time to actually have that conversation and do the recording. But all their stories are on the website. For that reason, again, it's where the success where they're coming from.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, keep us in touch with that lady. I just want to know how she gets on with
Oh,
it.
she's so lovely. She really is. She's a lovely lady.
Good. She's an ambassador for us all.
Yes. But it is that if we've got the right support around us, we can do what we've always wanted to do. There is nothing stopping us other than stupid men like you've seen that try to stop you. You don't have to. You can do and be absolutely anything you set your mind to. And even more so as you come out the other side of menopause. You should use the menopause time to plan who that woman is going to be and work towards her. I'm a very different person to the person that was working in the civil service. You know, 3 years down the line in business and you change completely. You know, and I was very much in that space of the menopause is really bad, I'm never going to come out of it, what's it worth, you know, this is all the end and all that sort of stuff. And through my own journey that started during lockdown, I started to turn that around.
Yeah,
and that's where my book is going to come out. I'm like Tracy, I am attempting to write a book. It hasn't got very far, but you know, I did the first chapter.
Well, you've gone, you know, starting the first chapter is a major major feat to do. So you can always, you know, you go back, you just need to get confidence back to do it.
I have it on my Trello action to write a chapter of my book each month. And my VA is constantly asking me. But I got halfway through the next chapter and then thought, you know what? I want to tell this story in a different way.
Okay.
So that's where I've kind of just taken a step back to go, is that original plan the way I want to go? And it probably isn't. So I will start writing again.
Yeah.
But it's just,
well, if you do start writing again, and I've just spoken to today, I've spoken to a hybrid publisher who is keen, and she basically specializes in health and well-being, not particularly female, but 90% of her clients are female, so it's gone that way. But
interesting.
Specializes in that area. So
I was going to self-publish.
That's what I was going to do until I spoke to her today.
Okay, interesting.
Okay.
Well, I could always write a book on whether to choose vinyl mat emulsion.
You could write a book about actually whether you should choose a female or male builder.
Yes. What is the
would
difference?
Be
at the same price.
Yeah.
That's one of the chapters. What do you charge?
Yeah, you could, you know, Diane. That would be a good one. The benefits of having female contractors.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a long book.
No.
No.
Well, let me just stop the recording.